everybody. This is Tajikbay. It's 1:45 p.m. British Standard Time, and I'm recording this podcast, which is dedicated to UFC 297 event, where the main event Sean Strickland faces Dricus du Plessis. Interesting card. I don't think it's maybe worthy of pay-per-view, to be honest with you, because if this was like a fight night somewhere and like in Vegas, would be, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But the event is in Canada, and so a lot of Canadian fighters are on the card. So yeah, let's break it down. I don't know if in terms of betting it's complicated, but there are some obvious spots for me in terms of betting, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to breaking it down. As always, thanks for everybody, wherever you're listening from, whichever platform you're listening from, whether it's Substack, Twitter, um, maybe Apple Podcasts or not. Yeah, I do appreciate it. So, yeah, so let's go. Jimmy Flick versus Gordon. I don't know what to think about this fight because, well, actually, I do know what what to think about this fight because I bet Malcolm Gordon. But the reason why I said I don't know how to treat this fight is because obviously is Gordon on a 2-fight losing streak, and then Flick is on a losing streak. So whoever loses, the loser goes home, right? So, and I think it was the matter of like the odds, right? Like is what's confusing me a little bit right now because it's Gordon opened at around -20 favorite, and it's like he's all the way up to -220 now, which is, I think it's crazy, right? Like, so I did bet Malcolm early, and the question obviously now becomes, is Jimmy Flick worth betting? If I woke up like thinking like, who should I bet with, if I hadn't placed a bet on Gordon, I would obviously go with Jimmy Flick. But I think for me, always like what I there are a couple of categories of fighters that I don't like betting on, and one of the fighters that I don't bet on are the ones who have quote unquote retired and then decided to come back. Especially caliber of Jimmy Flick, who had never had any kind of profound success, so he got out and then he got back in. Ever since he got back, he's been stopped twice. So. Yeah, let me keep it short. I think Gordon wins. At this point, like, what's worth betting really? Money line Gordon, no. I mean, if you are considering if you are considering betting Flick, I don't blame you, that's fine. But I think Gordon wins. He showed actually like a decent durability, and that's not something that we're seeing from Flick. Flick will take his chances in round one, and then after that, if not, he'll be just going to dip out. Yeah, that's pretty much has been throughout his career. It's not just pre-retirement, post-retirement. I think he either finishes the fight or he gets finished. Most recently, he just gets finished. Yeah. So I'm not gonna say he's here for his paycheck, but he may also be for here paycheck. So yeah. I don't know. There's some. What is? Is it true that Bet Online is showing under 2.5 at on near pick? That can't be right. We just take a quick look. I don't think that's the case. It must be a mistake from looking to fightodds.io. Great website, by the way. Ever since I explored it, I use it all the time. No issues. There's under 2.5. Obviously, it's not going to be the odds. Yeah. So whatever. We're not gonna spend time here. So what's the best bet here? In terms of the outcome, right? Like if you're looking at the props. So let's take a look at the props. I haven't been recording these podcasts. It's just that lately, I don't know, the with the way how volatile the fights are and stuff like that. I did not feel the same way motivated and passionate. It's just very hard to get a gauge on how the fights are unfolding these days. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm a little bit rusty and stuff like that, but I need to gain good momentum, produce good content. And thanks to everybody who support my content. I do appreciate it. In terms of outcome, let's see. So Gordon by KO. Okay. Sub. So what are we thinking here? Is it sub or it's going to be KO? I think honestly, just not to let's make a prop, right? Like if I were to go after prop, I would have gone for Gordon in round two. Because I think round one, it's Jimmy's still there, and Malcolm doesn't tend to overly rush things in the first round. So I would say, if you are listening, you've been patient enough for me to go through this entire breakdown of just one fight. Here's your reward. I like Malcolm Gordon to win in round two, and I think it's available at plus 450. So if you really want those juicy bets, so yeah, let's go Gordon round two. I might take a small action here. I proposed it on the fly. Might as well just go for it. So yeah, round two. Round two is gonna be KO sub. I don't know. Like, if you really want to get froggy, what is Gordon KO round two? Say that, but yeah, tempting. I don't know. Gordon is going to submit. I don't believe in the submission from Gordon's side because Flick just, he just, but he just shells out and that's it. Like, he takes advantage. I don't think you want to go after maybe try to submit him. But who knows? Round two is good. If I were to think of it, it's round two KO or sub. I would probably go for KO. But let's move on. Let's move on. Jeez, like there's this. Let's like I'm pretty sure I'm gonna spend less time like talking about the main event or something like this. Fight. Yeah, first fight. Well, I came. The reason why I may be breaking down this fight is because I made my best bet based on the prediction tool that I came up with. It's a 10-point system and Gordon somehow like miraculously ended up with 10 points, like an absolute like best bet, and I think I released it a couple of days ago. Actually, very early, and Gordon was decent money back then. Like, I released it on Monday, and of course, obviously, I'm not going to be one of those guys who claims to move the move the market, move the line, and stuff like that. But I'm gonna say it like this, right? Like, there's a lot of enthusiasm around Gordon, and I've been enthusiastic about Gordon as early as Monday, which I don't know, it's early, late, but I think it's pretty early, right? Like, at the beginning of the week, and Gordon was decent money there, so I think it doesn't matter to me much. But when people like, but some cappers or guys who break down the fights, they're like, oh, like I beat the line and blah blah blah. I never cared about the market movements just in general, but yeah, I guess it's good to see that you were going in the right direction, but to give it some kind of credence. This is still a volatile fight. I'm rather more interested in see how my 10-point prediction tool is going to work out. And so far, it's shown that Gordon is an absolute best bet, and public is backing it. The odds are backing it. So let's see how it pans out. Yeah, shall we? Okay. So let's keep going. JJ versus Jasmine Jastovicius and Jastovicius versus Priscilla Cachoeira. What can I say? Jazz is a big favorite. Which prediction tool? Jazz actually has a 10 point, 10 out of 10 in my scoring total, my scoring system. So, which is, I guess, understandable. She's a favorite. She's fighting at home, but the odds are on her side. The public is on her side. So everything getting to the anthropometrics, age, I think it's about both. She seemed like a deserved favorite. Yeah. But in terms of betting her, I don't know. What do you bet here? Like hundreds, hundreds. So that's why I put her as a parlay piece. If you want to put her as a parlay piece, it's not late because she's already came up to the market overpriced. Um, and I know you guys are waiting for props and stuff like that. Oh, what props would you tackle? Honestly, at this point, uh, under 2.5 doesn't seem like a terrible idea. It's not terrible. But plus odds, you know, um, bookies are just begging you to bet because they were stingy in the beginning, and now they're like, please, 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 we'll give you plus odds. Bet under 2.5. Um, is this the way to go? I mean, Priscilla is not bad, and they see what the problem for me is that I'm gonna look at the UFCstats.com right now, guys. It's not that Jasmine just can spam takedowns endlessly and stuff like that, and this she's big finisher. And that's why I'm kind of surprised. Under 2.5 came in like at negative money, like because like Jasmine doesn't finish, right? Like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights in the UFC, 2 losses, 3 wins, and 0 finishes. So what is it about? It's my question to bookies, right? Like, what is it about? You know, Jasmine Just Delicious makes her like a minus money, right? Like I don't understand why you bookies are being so stingy. But the bookies in general are a little bit, tight on the odds these days. That's the market that has become a little bit more serious and a little bit more mature. So that's why we're seeing what we're seeing right now. So, ooh, I don't know. Under 2.5. Let's see. Okay, so in terms of method, let's get something straight. Let's get something out of the way. I think Jasmine wins. In my scoring system, she's 10 out of 10. Let's just try to find this. Let's make it like a prop show or something. Impromptu, guys. I did not expect it to go this way, but let's see. If I doesn't go, it's plus money. If I were like, I'm not betting this fight yet. If I have maybe extra motivation, I would. I think plus 110 is okay. It's okay. It's stingy, but it's okay. It's like there's no other way to bet it, unless you try to bet. Unless you try to bet Jasmine late, right? Like, in terms of method, what does she win? I don't know. What did I pick her on Twitter? Pretty sure it was probably a decision of sorts. Let me check. That's good. I do. I actually got like sick, like pretty bad, like end of the last year, and this past 2.5 weeks I've been in pretty bad shape, unable to work out, and I'm pretty not feeling well. I'm sure it reflected in my content as well. Posting a lot of nonsense lately, so looking for a way to bring back some good content. The nation alerts are back. Mush of the week is back. Why somebody beat somebody's back. So I'm trying, guys. Like I'm a human being as well, and I make we all make mistakes. If you're listening to this and you're like, man, if in any way, shape, or form my content, what I said, or something let you down, it's not that I don't care. I care. And it would bother me. Yeah, it would bother me if you somehow changed your mind about me. So I hope this recording, maybe, and this content in general, and the continuation will help me to get your opinion about me back on the positive side, because I think I've done a lot of disruptive things in the MMA community, and I don't mean it I mean it both in the good ways and bad ways, because in order to achieve entertainment, I think I've gone the lens that very few content creators have. But in that, I have been provoking, right? But I've also, I think, was honest, and there were instances where I was sarcastic, and there were instances where I was trolling. So it's very hard, I think, to get a good read as far as like what I have been doing. Like I'm a little bit all over the place, uh, but just know that everything I do has some kind of a motive behind it, some kind of a motivation, and in most of the instances, this is my intentions are good. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Not sure how I ended up going on this spiel, but I thought this was important for me if you're listening to me, wherever you are. So yeah, I'm being a little bit sentimental. I'm gonna drop the shed a tear right now while I'm recording this, right? All right, so let's get back. Let's keep it. It's hilarious, actually. But it kind of like came from heart. Not kind of. It actually came from heart. So I'm proud of the honesty that I am bringing. Yeah. Okay. Or the conviction and how I spoke actually just now. So yeah, give myself shoulder. Uh, all right. So JJ versus Priscilla. I think doesn't go should be interesting because here's the thing, doesn't go should be interesting. Um, it's a little bit hard to gauge uh, when Jasmine can finish because let's see how like Jazz just let me check some. This is gonna be a long podcast, by the way, so buckle up. Ooh, plus shit, knees, body shots. I don't even know if Priscilla can be submitted, to be honest. I mean, okay, Jillian submitted her. Val actually submitted her as well. Interesting. I think it's gonna be hard for Jazz to finish, and but we have to go with some odds, all right? Like, so let me just check out that pick. So I picked Jazz by decision. Interesting pick. Um, but pick is pick, right? Like, that's what I think is more likely outcome that she wins by decision. We have to go after props that we believe, I believe, are can materialize. Um, I think submission is a likely outcome. I think also, right? I'm gonna like literally now go after every possible outcome. I think if you're going after the props, if you're going after the props, and if you're ignoring my prediction, um, I think Jazz can find the submission. And again, yeah, 450, 475, 500. Um, and I don't know if it's gonna be the first round. I think first round still you have to soften her up. There's that. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go, wow. Just delicious round three, somebody pounded the line. Good job. I don't mind that. I think I like round two, just delicious. Actually, it's been attacked pretty heavily across the board. So whoever took action, good job. Um, I do like though. I would have gone like if I were like just to pinpoint precise, try to go after the exact method. I would go for just a vicious round three sub also has been attacked. That line, somebody did a good job here again. And round two sub, I think both are pretty good. 1100, 1200. Yeah, so let's just keep going, guys. Uh, let's keep going. Yeah, sub is definitely possible. So, but round one sub, probably like we should have to soften her up, take some maybe dominant position, and inflict some damage, and then potentially finish her. But it's Priscilla is really really hard to finish, and the thing about it is that JJ doesn't necessarily like forces the action. I don't think. I mean, She doesn't have a finish at the UFC. So yeah, let's just leave it at that. But I do like sub round 2 and sub round 3. I don't see I don't see JJ finishing KOing Priscilla. So yeah, I think after a decision, the most likely out is actually the props are actually pretty good. So what are we liking here so far? Like right, like we've been like 2 fights. Gordon TKO is probably good. Um, round 2, right, and then JJ I think sub round 2 and sub round 3 are good odds. I might actually have like this little experiment and put like $100 or $50 on this kind of props. Let's see how it goes. Johan Lainez versus Sam Patterson is next. Um, you know, it's interesting because I'm looking again into my scoring system and that gives Johan like actually so it gives Johan like really slight edge. And it kind of like the problem with that is that so let me put it this way. Like you remember last week I picked like Josh Van, right? Like Josh Van was actually I think he was like it was 9, right? Like 9 out of 10, and he had good advantage, and the odds were like appropriate, right? Like you, the thing about here, the odds were justified. So the odds were justified, and so you could bet Van, right? Like, so, which I thought was a good bet. Um, and the problem with Jochen versus Patterson is that Jochen has a really slight edge in my scoring system, 8.5 versus 8 for Patterson. And the odds, let's look at the odds. And Jochen is like, there is a little action coming in on Jochen 143, but the problem is that his fighting style is not the best, or is not the best for betting, right? So, which means that if let's say Patterson survives, right? Like there's a lot of people think that Jochen is just going to go and KO him. Possible. We saw it with Sam Patterson, much smaller guy, putting Sam Patterson away. He got obviously caught. But um, but if he doesn't, then we have a close fight. But the odds I think support that, and looking into my own again scoring system, like it's also. So what do you bet here? I don't even know what to bet here, to be honest. I really don't know in terms of prop what is to attack, because fight ends and said I think honestly, like I picked Johan Lainez to win. Who did I bet? I mean, honestly, let me check something, because I think what can happen is Johan's actually BJJ is not that bad, but yeah, but Patterson is not bad. I think if Johan doesn't put him away, I think Patterson does have an opportunity to find a submission. So like, and it would have to happen again after. Yeah, Jochen will be more and more cautious as the fight goes. He's not picking up the pace and just trying. He's very cautious himself. I think he's going to give his chance. Gonna maybe to go like for some flying knees, overhand rights, and stuff like that. But I don't think he's technically more savvy. And the problem, obviously, with Patterson is it's not that metrics. He's bigger, taller, reach, everything, and he's younger. So that's why you're seeing in my scoring system, you're seeing like such a very barely slight edge in towards Jochen, which means that it's like in terms of betting, not the best idea to go after Jochen at this price. So let's see what's Patterson by submission. 360, not bad. Okay, so bad. Can he finish him in the first? I don't think so. Lainez will be cautious, staying on the outside. Let's see, maybe props for Patterson. I think line 2. round two has been attacked. That's good. We have somebody really sharp going after these odds. And I'm looking at them for the first time because we have a problem with show now. Let me know if you like it. Maybe you guys want to keep it the way like maybe I'll keep it this like like a Lambo. Um, which actually, if you think about it, I actually helped create Tajikbay. If you remember at the very first episodes, how the show, the buzz, everything was built around it. That was actually a big part of it. Um, but yeah, I think my regret in the MMA community is that there are a lot of people, not a lot. There are people who are more known now in the MMA community that I helped and always been supportive of. If you look into YouTube, I just appeared on the YouTube, and I remember obviously back when my tweets started popping on ESPN, everybody wanted to work with me, and I was very open minded. I was like, guys, like, I don't care. Never wanted to be on ESPN in the first place, but might be a good platform to support other content creators. So then I started pouring like money, appearing on people's shows and stuff like that. I still support the MMA community, and by subscribing to people content, and uh, and I can't for some reason give money on YouTube because I'm based in the UK right now, and I have no clue why I cannot support US content creators. I support any content creators, but I'm a little bit puzzled. If you know how to bypass that and how I can support via YouTube, I can. But otherwise, I'm just subscribing to people, Patreons and stuff like that. So in the back end, I'm doing my part. Obviously, I do it in more direct way, but also in more kind of laid back way. It's not like this donos flowing and you're saying this and stuff like that. I'm also kind of a little bit tired of that stuff. Like always, like because if I give money, it's the problem is that I don't want it to be a rarity where you give money to the content creators and they glorify you. Like I want it to be an everyday thing that if you see the good content, you see the good content creator, you support them. And it doesn't matter what your name is, Tajikbay, British Bay, like whatever, or British Bay. Maybe I should create another show and call it British Bay. But that's my whole point. Is like just support the content creators if you can. 1 penny, $1, 1 pence. These people are doing a good job. But I think the regret that I was talking about is at the time when I was, I still am. I still get lots of requests, partnerships, opportunities, everything, and I'm kind of a little bit more laid back about it now. Um, I did not get the same level of commitment and loyalty that I expected from people. And I think that to me has been disappointing. I'm not going to call names, but I can tell you that if those people that I'm at odds with, like as far as like, Twitter beefs and whatnot, like whatever that means, because I don't understand it, right? Like Twitter beef and stuff like that. Because I think if the problems are like people have problems in Twitter, it's not real, like in terms of like backlash beef and stuff like that. And that's why I don't understand why I get a lot of criticism messages and stuff like that with people saying, oh, like, everything that they're going to do to me. And because I'm sure they will be more reserved to say and do things if we were to talk like face to face and have some kind of grievances towards each other that we want to explain. I think it's a very different world, and I'm more accustomed to that world where you speak to a person directly and you sort your differences out directly. So, but all this to say that if you speak to the people that maybe I'm at odds with now, and I was not and we did some content together, and maybe if they went through DMs and our communications, phone calls, everything, you will find that there was no, maybe there was, but I was one of the bigger supporters in terms of idea, resources, time, everything to support content creators. Most of the, if not all content creators that I'm at odds with. So I think maybe if you look at me, it's like, man, why you keep talking, or said something in the past about this person, is maybe part of it is because the experience I had and has been disappointing in light of my support and enthusiasm around building, making. So that's that. That's like gonna be like probably like 10-hour podcast or something. Like, I hope you don't mind. I hope you're sticking around, but I'm saying a lot of things that are important to me, and I think they are important also in explaining when you look at me, right? Like when you listen to me and you I think maybe first thing that comes to your mind is like the controversy, the edginess, the why is he like this? He wasn't like this. He's like this now. Is it like a character arc? He's evolving. This, I think a lot of things are happening, right? Like again, like I said, I'm a human being, right? And I make right decisions, I make wrong decisions. But I think I want to explain myself, and that's what I'm doing. So yeah, well, let's keep going. Like this is like it's gonna be like a yeah, this is like a little bit like a Chappelle show. If you guys listen, Steve. Yeah, he tells the stories, he breaks down things, he talks about the topic, and then he like talk about it. Yeah. Well, yeah, like the MMA breakdown version, the the Dave Chappelle version of the MMA breakdowns. Yeah, worth. So Jillian Robertson versus Pollyanna. Here's the thing. I'm hearing Jillian wants the TKO, and I don't know if people caught up and went after TKO, but I think it's plausible in the sense that she's gonna try to go obviously and finish the fight. Under 2.5, man, fight. See, not bad. Not fight doesn't go probably also not bad. Robertson inside the distance. Wow, they are bagging you to bet. Actually, Robertson, it doesn't seem that bad. Uh, I'm gonna do best props. Like I'm gonna put up like a separate tweet and put like some of the better props that I would probably go to like for a very small amount of money. Robertson sub plus 140. Silly. She says she wants to KO. I think here's the thing. It's not that she says she doesn't say this, that, like, guys, like she will try to go for it because she'll try to pull a point that she will as an athlete, right? Like, so if somebody tells you, I mean, you can take it on its face value or not, but yeah, it looks like some of you have responded and would like Robertson by KO. So the line opened at plus 800 and plus 600 now. I don't blame you. Some places plus 750. Good. Can she get it right away? Probably not. Can she get it again? Round 2, round 3? Yeah. Let's see Robertson. Guys, Robertson by KO TKO round 2. Oh, yeah, it's insane. And round 3. Woo! Yeah. I'll put it with one. Yeah. Both round 3. I don't mind. I actually, 2,800, 3,500 on Unibet. Wow. These are just absurd. All right. I like Robertson by TKO here. I don't care. Let her get out, but late rounds, round 2, round 3. Absolutely beatable. Yeah. I think we're getting some interesting props. I'm actually liking this idea of the show being a little bit like props oriented. CD versus Tavares. Um, I don't know, boys. I think CD is more technical. Tavares, they're just a little bit sharper with his boxing. But Serhiy has been like through decisions. I've seen what Serhiy looks like throughout 3 rounds. And Tavares is just, I don't know. Should be a closer fight. Can Sergey finish? Sure, but I think Sergey wins by decision. This is the one of the fights that I'm like going after pro. Exciting. Yeah, I think probably. Yeah, probably goes to decision. Because I picked decision in my predictions. But CD should be in control. Can he win by TKO? Yeah, probably plus 250. I just, you just don't know. I don't know. First round, second round, it's very hard for you to gauge. I actually think this goes to decision, but and CD takes it comfortably. But if he goes maybe late rounds, round two, round three, where Tavares is tired, it's absolutely possible. Jourdain Woodson. So here's the thing. I am not a fan of Charles Jourdain. I don't like betting Charles Jourdain. I think I hope I picked the decision because I don't know how. Yeah, split this. That's probably gonna be something close, boy. Probably going to be something close. So yeah, so there's no need to like. There's no need to overcommit. I don't like this in general. It could be so close. It's gonna. Yeah, just not a big fan of. Yeah, and Sean is fine. I mean, Sean. I think just Charles has more ways to win, right? Because his subs are actually pretty decent. But I think in terms of he would, I think Jourdain would have to mix it. I think it's going to be a closer fight for. This fight is going to be closer than the odds. What is Woodson? Oh, Jourdain versus Woodson, 8.5, 9.5. Jourdain, 8.5 in my prediction tool. 1 point advantage. I mean, it's pretty significant. So I put Jourdain as a parlay. I don't know if I'm thrilled about it now, but there's a reason why I'm not betting him straight. So, yeah, and yeah, in terms of props, yeah, let's see. So, yeah, I'm saying all this just like very literally to that. Like Charles Jourdain is weird, right? Like because I remember this talks about like a pay gap, this that. Like, so here's the thing, right? Like I think that the athletes are underpaid. But I think everybody should kind of relax on their stance as far as like, there are some ongoing, litigations, this, that, and yeah, talk about it. But I think from when fighters like Jourdain comes up to it, I've been paid sufficiently. You're doing it for trying to get good grades with UFC. Like, what are you trying to like really get out of saying that you're paid enough? I mean, guys, like, I'm not going to be controversial. I'm going to say this, 90 to 95% of the fighters, including UFC fighters, are not the full-time fighters. Not. They have other jobs. They're trying to make their living. I think I always said this, like the best base for this is probably, it's not uncommon if you're a UFC fighter to be like, or you just mixed martial arts, to be a bouncer, because bouncing, if you're a bouncer, it pays well. If you're a bouncer in a club, or you're like a barman, or you're a cook, chef, all that stuff. If everything was good, right? Like, think about it this way, right? Like Pantoja, right? Pantoja is a UFC champion. Like right before his fight, like for the title, he was still riding Uber. Which is another thing that the fighters can do, is that. So, like, all this to say, right? Like when you say, oh, like UFC fighters are getting paid a lot, like let's not fool anyone, right? And even Dana himself had said that this is not a career; it's an opportunity. There's a rare case where it works out, but there's a couple of things that needs to happen, right? Like I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna go there, guys. I like. I don't give two shits. Now I'm gonna say that. So here's the thing. If you're trying, there are very few examples that there is a happy ending, and one of them, I think, good example, is Jim Miller, right? So in order to have a meaningful career, you have to have a good relationship with the UFC and the back office. You have to have a good matchmaking, right? Like a good fight schedule to be able to compete to your abilities, and maybe not to have a low quality of competition, not have like extensively stronger, like I, I think, I hope you understand, right? Like, when Jim Miller, let's say, fights, who did he fought like last fight? This guy from AKA that always hits hardest, has hardest leg kicks in the AKA. Every every broadcast is the same story. Gabriel Benitez, right? Like, it's a winnable fight, right? Like that's kind of like my point. Like, you're looking into Jim Miller, right? Like, who is fighter who fought, for very many years, UFC 100, 200, 300 is gonna fight, but he also had a schedule where he fights like Jesse Butler, Alex Hernandez, close loss. He had like Cerrone, Mota, Gonzalez, like Joseph, like Vince Pichel. So you you want to have a decent set of schedule, but also have fights that are, you know, don't break you, right? And I think Jim Miller had few of those where he was just like solemnly dominated. Another thing, yes, Jim Miller had some problems in terms of his health, but in general, in terms of his recoverability and in terms of how his health is, you have to be a little bit lucky, not to get injured, and you have to be a little bit lucky to be able to like to have a body, a good genetics to recover. So so for the athlete career, right? And I've never been in professionals. I've been in amateur competitions, right? Like, so I'm not a professional athlete, right? Uh, but I've worked and trained with professional athletes, and I understand their difficulties, right? Like, not directly, but from a second person, like a third person perspective. There are very few instances where you've had your career as a mixed martial artist and it has worked out for you, because you end up, when you paid like 10, 20, 30,000, which is a lot actually, like to get paid 30K in the UFC. um you At the tail end of your career, you end up with multiple injuries, and at the tail end of your career, unless you haven't opened, like, let's say, your own gym or had some good sponsorship along the way, and have something, or have, like, let's say, a commentator career or something like that, or like you covering some other fights and stuff like that, it, there are these rare circumstances, but more often than not, you end up in a very tough situation, where you have some money to survive, just go by day, but you're also left with injuries, and there's nothing ahead of you, you know. So all this, I said it because I didn't like Jordan's stance on pay gap. You have to understand that that's the fighter's perspective that I'm speaking. So I'm speaking through fighter's perspective, and somebody who wants athlete to be successful, who wants athlete to make money, to have a good living, because they're risking their health. This pod is going sideways, but from the UFC's perspective, guys, I don't blame the UFC for doing what they're doing, simply because UFC is in the business of making money for the UFC stakeholders. They're not in the business of making fighters prosperous. They're not. Yeah, I would argue actually they're in the business of not making fighters prosperous, because when fighters get influence, they tend to become a problem, right? Conor now is on the good terms, but Conor has been a problem, right? Like, just in general, because he was able to dictate his terms. He made Dana go out of his way into the boxing stuff, and which paid off for Dana, right? Like, but that's not necessarily something that he wanted to do. Conor has his ventures. Excuse me. He's independent. This, that. It's just normally, if you're a bigger organization, you don't want the guys. There's guys like Khabib also, who retired undefeated, stuff like that. A true brand of himself. Khabib obviously posing problems because he's somebody who is kind of a little bit in Conor, right? Like, they're these are LeBron type figures, right? Like they're bigger than the sport, right? And they are transcending figures. They go, you can go to like any competition. If they show you on the screen Khabib or they show on the screen Conor, you're gonna be like, oh, that's Conor or that's Khabib. You know what I mean? So it's like if you're in the business and you're protecting your assets, you're protecting your brand, you don't want guys like this, you know? So like you want to keep it tight, uh, cut the overhead, uh, cut the cost, and grow revenue. That's it. So that's why I'm not kind of like uh, when I talk about my perspective from pay, fighters pay and stuff like that. I'm taking a position of a person who is supportive of athletes, and there are people who are simply say, "Hey, like this is bro, like I understand what you're saying, but this is capitalism, right?" And I understand those people as well. That's why I don't like feel strongly in clashing because I understand we're just defending a different perspective. You're defending the perspective of capitalism and the company taking care of the company and stuff like that. Whereas I'm talking about, hey, like this guy's gonna 35, 36, like end of career, if not earlier, multiple traumas, bills to pay, injuries to heal, all kinds of like anxieties, this, that, like, you see what I mean? Like, so that's why I don't like Charles Jourdain. Oh, like I don't remember. I think we clashed a little bit in terms of fight to pay with him. Oh, and this is a lesson also. Is like for me to avoid betting on Jourdain because I think Jourdain's probably is going to win. But like you can't approach betting, when you feel strongly pro or against the fighter. You have to let it go. If you can neutrally approach the fighter, you just let it go, bro. Don't try to make it up. It's very hard to suppress the bias, negative or positive. And I do have a negative bias towards Charles Jourdain. So I'm gonna just, you know, move on. I'm just gonna move on. Katona versus Arnfield, I think Katona wins. I'll keep it short. Probably decision, but Arnfield is just like he goes to see Katona like finishing somebody is like I don't know. Does he like did 20. Yeah, somebody. This was Brave, and that was even like third round. Like I don't believe in Patton finishing anybody. Then do just that because Armfield doesn't settle for decisions. Like I mean, guys, like look at him. Kazama finished. Onama finished him. Stephen Graham he finished like split, and then but like okay. I mean, are you saying that Katona can finish? Who? Okay. I can't believe I'm going to come up with this prop. But I don't. Can Katona actually like KO him? Let's take a look at it just for the sake. Just if Katona again goes to decision, no like plus 125. Who creates this ones? I think bookies are killing enthusiasm around betting props and stuff like probably the most profitable ones, but we also have a chance of like hitting something that extraordinary. They're not giving anything extraordinary, where in most cases you lose, but if you win a time or two, like you make some profit. They're just killing all the creativities. Which is why part of the reason why I'm not enthusiastic as I used to before. I used prop hunter, big this that. But boys, oof, Brad Katona. 3 plus 3. Brad, Brad, tell me you're gonna get that TKO. I mean, has never been stopped. Yeah, no, nobody finished. That's why, yeah, there's always been stopped. Yeah, all the more reason to go out to TKO. Yeah, let's do late. Let's do Katona round 2, Katona round 3, TKO. Screw it, whatever. YOLO. I like it. Actually, I don't mind it. I think it goes to decision, but if you're like, hey, like, what are the props? Tajik. Round 2, round 3, TKO, 3,000, 4,000. I'll put maybe 50. Allen versus Mofsar. I know a lot of people were backing Allen, and they say Mofsar is square. I see. Here's the thing. I really want to see this fight because it's like I don't. I just don't think that Allen fought the level of wrestler. Yeah, Mofsar is, and I don't think Mofsar. This is Mofsar's like the toughest fight. If he gets this challenge, it's like it's literally it's. Was there an easier way for Mofsar if they were building him up like to go to the title? Let's see. Who would you have given him? Yeah, you could have given him maybe Josh Emmett, but Josh was busy. Mm. And Allen, I think Allen leveled up after that Holloway loss, so he had like Cater, Hook. He strengthened the competition. But here's the thing: Mofsar is fighting Allen in the prime of his career, and I know there's like there's always this thing about it's a very interesting thing where people say where people say, oh, like he always gets wobbled in the fight, this, that, like, or like gets touched. Okay, so it's a fight. You you've been in a street fight, like when the street fight went like everything your way. Okay, this is professional fight, but these people both train. These people come into a fight thinking they're gonna win. So when Diego Buckle was like, "You've like, what did you think is gonna happen? This is just gonna walk through him or something, like nothing, right?" You have to like be able to like or like Dricus Duplessis. Oh, Dricus Duplessis. Like there's a guy I'm not gonna name like which I really respect, and he talks about Duplessis like a striking reason. Oh, like striking this. I'll tell you guys, Duplessis is a wider range of arsenal in terms of kicks, punches, this, that. A much better striker than if you just say, oh, like that like Strickland has maybe pure boxing. I would say I don't know, but Drake is actually very good striker. I think he's a better striker than Sean, in my opinion. Much more diverse, much more power and stuff like that. It's just Sean is a boxer. That's all it is. Sean is like a better version of Nate Diaz, like a functional version of Nate Diaz. That's all it is. And Dricus has more ways to win this fight. But Allen versus Mofsar. I think if they fought a little bit earlier, I think maybe I would have been a little bit more enthusiastic about Allen, but now it's a little bit hard because Mofsar, like they're building him up. Like you can tell they're building him up. Like, and that's one, but that's not why he's my pick. I think what also interesting is that like he has the pace, guys. He's that guy. He's gonna go 10, 12. He's spanned this chain wrestling and he's improving in terms of his strike. For people to say that Allen has like extensively better strike, stop. Like you see a better striker overall. I mean, yes, but then you're missing out on something. Probably gonna pull out that statistics. In terms of striking defense, is identical. Mozart throws more and absorbs less. So for people to say he's more accurate striker, so for people to say Arnold is a better striker, that's not what the paper shows. What you can come back to is say, guys, but yeah, he fought against a tougher level of competition, which is why there's that. Like, yeah, let me remind you guys that until recently, that Sodak Yusuf, like the YouTuber, right, was not a real fighter, right? Like he's a YouTuber or content creator. Outstruck, like Lance had a pretty decent success with him in terms of striking. Total strikes near identical. Lance actually threw more volume. And then more recently, we saw what happened with Cater fight, right? Like Cater got hurt. Hooker is Hooker, and Holloway just destroyed him. So where do you see this domination by Ann? strike. The odds are there where they are because bookies are asking a simple question: who has more ways to win the fight? I think on the paper, striking is about close. I mean, I would still give maybe ever so slight edge to Allen because I think Allen has that KO power. He could probably put away. He is a strong, harder puncher. But in terms of volume and defense, I mean, you can't just like take out the fact that he can KO people because honestly, you saw it only once against Dan Hooker. He just went all out and just finished him in the first round. You can't just go out there and say, oh, like Allen's a better striker, he's just going to withstand. Is that like, it's not that. Movsar is just going to go and spawn takedown. Everybody he fought, he outstruck them. Every fighter, you can go through, well, outside of Barzola, actually, which was in 2019. You can go into every fight, Grande, Lance, Dawodu, Iggy, Lopez, like, he outstruck each and every one of them. So whatever he has to do at the level that he fights, he does that. He overwhelms people with his wrestling, and he puts on the striking, when he needs to close the gap, close. That's it. That's all. You don't overthink it. But if you're betting Allen, I don't blame you. That's fine. I picked Movsar. The reason why I say all this and I went on this longer explanation is very, very simple. When you are this convinced that Allen is going to win, just understand the other perspective. Why the odds are where they are. Why people are betting Movsar. Well, it's like, because it's good to have your opinion about Allen, but it's also like just with every fighter. But it's also important to understand why is the other side, why there's so much enthusiasm around the other side. And when you answer that, you're going to have a balanced approach. Chris Curtis versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Chris Curtis, to me, is in the same category as Charles Jourdain. Absolutely insufferable content creator. Actually, like, I didn't say it, but I'm going to say it. Chris Curtis right now goes into this category of the content creators, right? And content creators, it doesn't matter where you produce your content. It could be YouTube, Twitter, it could be OnlyFans, and it doesn't matter. But content creators have very, very terrible stats in terms of the fight outcomes, right? Like, it's just because this is a big distraction, right? Like, you put yourself out there, you create some kind of content. Curtis has his podcast with Sean Strickland. So, but Curtis is strange because he knows how to defend and not to lose, but then he loses and then he goes on Twitter and just complains about it. And he's just it's like, as a fighter, I think he's like, he had this early moment where there were a couple of flukes where he won. Like, he hits hard, he caught people, that happens. But I think his recent performances are kind of the reflection of him. It's just like a Sean Strickland. But he caught Buckley. I think just because Buckley overcommits, it just happens. Imavov was just destroying him. Gastelum beat him up. Was slightly close. Hermanson beat him. Like, what is it here about Chris Curtis that we're so enthusiastic? I like Power Bar. I like Barriault. The reason why I didn't bet Barriault, I think Barriault, like, I picked him, but is he? I hope I put him as a parlay piece. TBD. It's just TBD. I don't mind putting Barriault on some kind of like a parlay, like make the initial parlay Jazz, Jourdain, Katona, Yevloev, and then maybe at Barriault, And the reason why I didn't bet Barriault right now is because, again, like, I'm a little bit biased towards negative bias that is towards Curtis, so I'm reserving myself. But I think Barriault is gonna make the odds. Yeah, Chris Curtis to me is a mush of the week. Yeah, whatever. Let's keep going, guys. I want to start wrapping up this podcast. Magny Mallet. Oof, so many people are on Mallet. I think Neil just doesn't do enough to. I think Mallet goes. I think Mallet actually is going to be a little bit more cautious here. I think it's going to be hard for him to finish. He needs to understand that he needs to balance his energy a little bit better. And then if he goes for the takedowns, he better find that submission, because if he doesn't, that's going to be problematic. It's going to be rough. So Yeah, I think it's just Mallet needs to just win by decision. How did I pick this fight? I hope I did. Mallet. Yeah. Watch this fight go to decision. I don't care. I'm not worried about it, guys. I'm not betting this fight, so but sub is highly likely. But Mallet by decision is also very likely outcome. Let's see what's Mallet by decision. Wrap this fight up. Mallet wins by decision. Plus 350, boys. It's not terrible. Raquel versus Mayra Buena Silva. Mayra Buena Silva is had a really high score, and so the reason why I bet Mayra scored 10 and Raquel scored 8. Oh, high on her. Why bet her? I mean, on the paper you can say, wow, like Raquel fought like who is who, and like Raquel's cardio a little bit better, composure, but Mayra is in her prime, and I think I don't know if I can say the same. Raquel, but Raquel is a game that am I gonna be overly shocked if she wins? No, but yeah, that Ketlin fight was close. I said I think Mayra is a better fighter than Ketlin Vieira. Just in general, I mean, finishing ability is good. I think you need to be somewhere of like Manon Fiorot uh, to beat Mayra hands. So I think Mayra is in her prime. Gonna so yeah. And Sean DDP, guys, big DDP fan. I mean, versatile fighter, strong, great cardio. He got his nose surgery done. Sean Strickland is like, I'm gonna say this. Um, I'm not gonna write about it just yet, but I'm gonna say this, guys. I hope after if Sean loses his title, that he's going to be okay. Because I say this because Sean is a very traumatized individual. He obviously all kinds of medicine and assume therapy and all that good stuff. I think being a champion, becoming and having such a highlights as becoming and being easy and this and that, I think it's one of the best thing that happened for Sean Strickland in his career. But I also think that it's one of the worst thing from the mental perspective that could have happened to Sean. Because Sean, just in general, likes to keep very, very low profile. He has, all kinds of anxieties being in the public and this and that. And I don't want to make a bad prediction about Sean if he loses this fight, of how things can turn out for him. I hope I'm entirely wrong here. But I stand by what I say, in that from the career and achievement standpoint, winning UFC title is the best thing that could have happened to Sean. But from a human perspective, is probably the worst that could have happened to Sean. And that's that. I just want to see how all this pressure that he put on himself in terms of taking like political stance and stance on the social issues, how is it going to affect him? When the person is vulnerable, as mentally as in my opinion, and I'm not like health expert, this, that, it's just my opinion, right? But I think it would put a lot of pressure on a guy who has been avoiding, publicity, just knowing how it affects him, right? Which doesn't bring much good in terms of his mental stability and stuff like that. So That's that. Then DDP doesn't care. DDP is just like great stamina, great mental stamina. So all in all, I understand the odds, but I think we're not. We should factor in those things that I have just said, as far as like, and it's not the problem with this argument is that it's not. You can't quantify that, and when you cannot quantify it, it's almost like meaningless. People are like, how do you like? So how do you? Because I always say, when you have an argument, how do you quantify that? What? How do? Okay, so you said mental issues of mental, hurdles or challenges. All this responsibility, pressure, taking stance on the social issues. How can this affect? Like, what percentage? So where does should it move the line? By how much? And I don't have an answer for you guys, right? Because I haven't seen it. But I think it will happen. So it's a little bit kind of like, well, what are you saying, Tajik? Are you saying like it's a little bit meaningless? But it's kind of it's not a leap of faith, but like the opposite of leap of faith. It's just a leap of failure, right? That I'm taking in Sean Strickland, thinking that it will all this pressure will affect a negative way, because logically it should. Because logically it should, guys. Like if you imagine yourself going through everything that Sean has been through, and then going into becoming like talking about all those issues, taking stands like on country and how the politically they should be structured, socially what should happen, this that, like, it's not easy, guys. When you have this type of platform where people listen to you and create and kind of look at it through a critical point of view, just criticize you or support you, right? Like, I think you're equally anxious about your supporters as much as you are about people who don't support you or maybe have the opposite stance, because it's a lot of pressure, guys. It's a lot of pressure. Having said that, guys, I wish you a great event. Again, thank you all for your support. Actually, it didn't turn out to be like a long podcast, 1 hour. But if you like this podcast, share it, guys. Share it with your friends. I hope, man, maybe I'll start at least bringing up for the podcast, at least for like a big events and stuff like that. Um, and doing more. But again, like I said, I need to a little bit find my motivation, find my groove and stuff like this with a lot of things. So everything I said today, I meant it. And I wish you all the best. And if you need anything, just hit me up on Twitter. Take care.